Hello, everyone, and welcome to another incredible episode of Empowered Conversations, where I have amazing conversations with extraordinary people who are out in the world doing beautiful things in service to others, as well as just all around living their best lives. And that is the epitome of my guest today, Jeff Perdue Adkins, y'all. And it is, OMG, y'all, it's even more exciting because today, June 1st, is the kickoff day of Pride Month. Whoop, woo-hoo! And I can't wait for Jeff to come on and tell us all about his story. He's such an incredible human being. I was on his podcast a couple weeks ago, and he is just such a great human being. So I'm going to tell you all about Jeff. So when Jeff was 18, he was being bullied by a coworker who had threatened to out him. Jeff did come out later that year, and he decided that he would live his life openly, free, so that no one else would ever live in fear. Jeff describes himself as a divine space, anchored by his in-breath and solidified by all other sparks of the divine. He is a loving, compassionate, and powerful leader who is creating a truly awesome life, not only for himself, but for those in his sphere of influence. He is an instrument of peace in the perceived chaos. And boy, do we have a lot of chaos going on. He is a resilient adventurer who chooses y'all to love his life, be the dominant creator, taking 100% responsibility, and live in his purpose with health and vitality. Jeff is a productivity coach, Jedi, Cleric, and host of the Creative Nomad podcast. That's the podcast he had me on a couple weeks ago. I couldn't remember the name of it. He has worked with multiple international best-selling authors, coaches, artists, and Fortune 500 companies to create brands, grow sales, and create systems and processes that foster freedom, creativity, productivity, and profitability. He is also in the process of creating the Orange Dragonfly Transformational Center and Temple of Jediism that he says is going to be a cross between an RV park and a summer camp where people will come to balance their mind, body, spirit, and businesses. Jeff currently lives in a 1993 Tioga Montara with his young puppies, Prince Rupert and Prince Frederick, so that he can live more intentionally, see beautiful places, and show others that you can live your true, awesome life, no matter what that life looks like. Holy frickin' cow, y'all. Woo! Drum roll, please. Help me and welcome in Jeff Adkins. Woo!
Hello, everyone. How are ya?
Doggone fantastic. How are you?
I am so excited to be here today.
I am so excited.
And it's funny because the Orange Dragonfly stuff is all brand newly announced. So hearing it read back to me, I'm like, oh my God, yes, I'm really doing that. Yes, because I'm still in panic mode over it, right? It's new, it's exciting, it's scary. I'm friggin' over the moon about it, but it's like, oh yeah, that's something I'm really doing. Yeah,
absolutely. Feel the fear and do it anyway. And again, like when you're like, it sounds like you're doing something that's outside of your comfort zone.
Ooh.
And what that's doing is, because when we're continuously doing things outside of our comfort zone, it expands our awareness of what else is possible.
Yeah, it's been amazing. The Orange Dragonfly Center is. I started studying Jediism back in 2015.
Now, what is Jediism? Tell me about that. Is that like something to do with Star Wars?
Kind of, sort of. All right, so Jediism is a religion. It is based off of the source materials of where George Lucas got it. So we're talking Alan Watts, we're talking Joseph Campbell, and really looking at the myths and the religion and taking what is common between all of them and really
Okay.
it really
Like a central message.
celebrating and celebrating the connection between all of us, the force,
Thank you.
the source, you call it the universe, call it God, call it whatever you want to call it,
I
right?
call it universe. Yes.
Yeah, so that which moves to us and through us, and that is ours, really.
Yeah, you said and is us, correct? Is
Is
that what you
us,
said?
yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
So, and it's I started studying. I didn't know what the hell I was going to do with it when I started, and as it's gone through, last August I started working with the coach, and he started talking about what's your end result. What is it that you want your end result? And I started seeing me walking through a campground, and I'm sitting here going, where the hell is this coming from? Like, this is not what I was thinking. This is not anything I've ever thought of before. It's like I'm walking through this campground and I see the place, I see the cabins, I see the RV part of it. I walk into this beautiful space that we use, the meeting space, and I see it all done, and I'm like, that's such a weird vision for me. I've never thought about that before. And that's kind of where the Orange Dragonfly Center happened. It was like, okay, well, this is what, as I've walked through it and went through it, and what does that really look like? And yeah, so I'm so excited about it, guys.
So it's kind of like would it be also a place where people could host retreats that were centered around cultivating oneness and.
Yeah, so really the idea is that we will have a full staff. It will be so we're doing a taster retreat because while we're looking for the property, but basically we're looking at mind, body, spirit, and business. So I do a lot of stuff with businesses, especially with getting them cleared up and get rid of all the clutter, right? So that's one of the things I'm going to be working on. I'm also going to be working on some of the spiritual stuff. I have a shaman coming in for that. I have an Ayurvedic specialist coming in with diet and, really using food for medicine and learning how to eat again, because we don't know how to eat. And I love you.
I know how to eat.
Right.
Yeah.
You actually came up as one of the people I was thinking about bringing on. So
sign me up.
It was a lot of fun. And then I have a really cool guy coming in, and I can't announce his name yet, but he is an American. He's training to be an American Ninja warrior. He's all about positivity. It's like really about a mindset person and physical person, and how to use your body to get the mindset.
Right. Oh, I love that. Yeah, I love that.
It's going to be really interesting to see how that comes out for this, and it's going to also be fun because I get to, as I bring in the full staff, when I actually have the staff, we're going to be growing our food. It's really going to be a very intentional community, and there's a couple places I'm looking at, and it's going to be fun.
I love that word intentional, and I love that what you just said. And there was something I wanted to say, like using food to heal thyself. I mean, or no, it wasn't that. It was about the body to create the mindset. So, because like, for instance, breath work is an example of breathing, that can change the physiology or like a chemical response going on in your body. Like, say you're under like incredible amount of stress or severely angry or super, super sad. Like, if you just start, focusing on your breath, breathing. Oh, and I was doing a meditation the other day with Shaman Oaks. I don't know if you know Alan Chapman, Shaman Oaks, and we were breathe in love, breathe out love, breathe in love, breathe out love, and that we're all connected.
Yeah.
An energy, and we can call it love.
We could call it love. We can call it whatever you want to call it. It's such an amazing. If we remember, we breathe the same air.
Yes.
Literally.
Yes. Even if you're across the world.
Across the world, I don't care who you are. I don't care what religion you
or no religion.
Or no religion, or spiritual or whatever you can go to. we breathe the same air.
Mm-hmm.
We are that connected. It goes through us, through the trees, and back to someone else.
Absolutely. And you've heard me, I don't know if you have heard me use the analogy that I had an epiphany about during organic chemistry class in college, when I happened to be gazing up upon the periodic table and, daydreaming instead of paying attention to Dr. Evil, who's like the best professor on the planet. Anyway, and I'm like just gazing at the periodic table and I'm like, everything that exists, which exists, is all part of everything that all of just different conglomerations of atoms from the periodic table. Hence, everything is of itself. Everything is one. There's nothing that's separate. There are certain conglomerations that make up various forms of matter, but it's still all interconnected with every other element that makes up different conglomerations of everything. Hence, everything is of itself. What that source that you're talking about, there's nothing outside of us that gives us something. There's nothing that we are or are not, or there's nothing that we are not that gives us or takes away or dooms us or celebrates us. It's all us. Everything is everything. Everything is us.
You are literally sharing electrons with everything around you.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, there is no separation between you and the air around you.
The entire universe. Right. I know.
The only thing that says that you're solid is because you believe you're solid.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we believe, and you believe it so hard that we believe it also.
Oh yes, you've seen What the Bleep Do We Know?
Mm-hmm.
Where they taught, where they show that the boy who's bouncing the basketball, he said that there's no actual physical touching. It's an electrical charge. And then another, scientist says, yeah, if I stump my toe, it elicits a painful response, a painful physical response. But it's your experience that's painful. And I know, guys, that's really deep, and it takes some serious, well, Stephanie, I mean, when somebody knocks me upside the head, I get it, but it really it's wow, everything is just different electrons, just bouncing off of one another.
Mm-hmm. And truly, and it's so funny. I'm sitting here this was not the conversation we planned.
No, well, hey, but we're going there because we just started on. I want to know what Jediism is.
I spent 5 years studying. I am now a licensed minister. I'm working on my ordination. Next levels, basically. But at this point, I can open up a center. I can open up a Jedi temple, and so I'm like, why wouldn't I?
Right. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, so we're working with the lawyer right now to see if it's more beneficial for me to actually be nonprofit or for-profit.
Mm-hmm.
By the end of next week, I should be registered, and yeah, we're gonna go forward. It's gonna be amazing. I'm over the moon over that.
That is so exciting. And where is this going to be again?
We have a couple places I've been looking at. There's one in South Dakota.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'm sorry, South Carolina.
Oh, that's right down the road from where I live. That's 3 hours from me.
Yeah, it's in Blanche.
Blanche. Oh my God! And I haven't even heard of. Have I ever heard of Blanche? I've heard of Blanche on the Golden Girls. I'm Blanche. I'm actually Blanche on the Golden Girls. Yeah. Blanche, South Carolina. Okay. How far is that from Myrtle Beach or Charleston?
It is an hour from one of them. I can't remember.
Okay.
It's a little blip on a blip of the town. I don't know if it has a traffic light. Mm-hmm. So, but I was laughing because it's in Blanche. It's just one of those cool places. And that was a prepper community. 148 acres, I believe, on the mountain. It's fully self-contained, really amazing. And then I found another one in Missouri that I really like. I'm trying to stay away from the hard cold. I'm trying to stay south of Mason-Dixon.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I'm a Yankee and I keep going, I need to be south of the Mason-Dixon. I'm like, do I really want to be south? Yeah, I guess I got to be south of it. But I don't want being cold. And then I found one in Michigan that it's funny because it's half the price, but it's in Michigan and it's in northern Michigan.
And that's cold.
and
So
that's
that's not where
cold.
you want to be.
That's not where I want to be, and it's not close enough to my family to make it make sense either. It's like, okay, no.
Right. And where's
So
your family? You're in Tennessee, right?
I'm back in Detroit.
Oh,
So yeah, I know. I live in an RV, guys. Typically, I live in an RV. It's been being fixed, and we were having some issues about if it was going to be fixed in time because their kids are coming. Where I was staying, their kids were coming in for the
mm-hmm.
summer, and was it going to be fixed in time? So we just decided for me to come home for a minute. So I'm home, which is
Yeah.
amazing, and it's great. And my friend, oh my goodness, I gotta thank Gabby. She was so amazing. She came and picked me up, um, and I came home, and it's so interesting just being in your space, in your element, because I've been gone for a year. I literally was gone a year and a day.
Yeah.
So the trip was amazing, and I'm ready to go. I'm partly ready to go go back out, but I'm enjoying this time of like knowing where I am, like
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
knowing who is around me. And I went to I spent the weekend with other friends and did the barbecues, and I said it's like going back to court after,
Mm-hmm.
like a royal court after being gone for a while.
A royal. Oh, I got you. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like going back into a royal court and being a lower prince. Everyone wants to know what's going on, blah blah
Yeah.
blah blah, but you're not really in charge of anything, so it's kind of fun.
Yeah. I'm just here to have some fun for a little bit.
I'm here to have some fun.
Yeah.
It's great, and it was the big gay barbecues, um,
The big what?
the big gay barbecues,
Gate.
gay barbecue.
Gay. Oh,
Yeah,
the big gay barbecues.
the
Okay.
big gay
Yeah.
barbecues. Drag queens. It was amazing.
Oh my
Uh,
God. Sounds so much fun.
I I have some amazing friends, and I'm so glad
I
that
bet.
over the years we've cultivated those kind of relationships, because
Yeah.
I didn't always have that. As you said,
Right.
when I came out, it wasn't easy. Like
Right.
I came out in 1995, so this is pre Queer as Folk. This is pre Will and Grace. This is like,
Yeah. Right before Will and Grace, because I think
right,
Will and Grace was like 98. Yeah.
98.
Got one of the best
So
shows on the planet.
I I am so fortunate to have what came before me and the
Mm-hmm.
people that came before me, um, because of all the work that they did. That when I stepped
Yes.
into it, yes, I had more. Like nowadays, it's really a lot easier. But I
Mm-hmm.
I'm somebody that I am someone who has paved that way too, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the people before me that had could go to jail just for kissing their lover. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
there were still some laws on the books when I was, but they were in weird places. Actually, there was one in Michigan, um, but that got literally the year that I came out, it was taken off the books because they were like, okay,
What was
um,
the law?
it was an anti-sodomy law. They could literally put you in jail.
Anti-sodomy. Mhm.
Yeah, like who's gonna check in your bedroom,
Right, I know. Like, how do they know what
right?
people are doing? It's insane. But like, okay, so a couple of months ago, I had someone staying here who was trans, and she was looking for jobs, and she was looking at working from home versus going into the office. And it was really amazing to talk with her and listen to her experience of living in this state of fear. And what it reminded me of is what it must have been like for gay people, lesbian people back in like the 70s, 80s, and of course way before,
Yeah,
when it was coming out that was a very prominent existence, and the backlash and the fear and the rejection, and I could and I was like, because I would, she's like, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? I'm like, girl, I think you should, go for this. And then she goes, yeah, but then I do run that risk of being not accepted or being shamed or
mhm,
being, like, and it's really sad. But we are as we have evolved. We're evolving, we're evolving. And like you said, the people that came before you, that did all the work, that put themselves out there and said, I am fucking fabulous.
Yeah.
Because this is how I am, this is who I am, and I am amazing. And it just takes that and that to keep, perpetuating out to society. And and then it's like, this is normal. This is normal. This is, and not normal, but like this, an accepted way. Like it's, like, I
This
can't think of
isn't
the right
dirty.
word. What?
This isn't dirty.
No, hell no,
This
it's not
isn't
dirty.
this isn't taboo. This isn't
Right.
this experience isn't unholy.
And, speaking of that, a lot of, and what's crazy is I grew up, in Southern Baptist, Christian religion. And
Me too.
I remember, like, as a kid, and it being like, a man shouldn't lie with another man, blah, 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 blah. And I remember when Boy George was, was big in the 80s. And I remember, being that, like, oh, Boy George, he's queer. And, because again, what I learned or was taught in church and in my home, and like it was dirty and it was, and then, but then as you grow, because I've always been like, well, that doesn't make sense. God says, love thy neighbor, not only if he's this or that, or she's this or she's that. If God created everybody, right? I mean, the way I was taught, I don't believe there's anything that created us. I think everything is created. Right. But anyway, and not to go on that tangent, but here's where most of that bullshit comes from is like the words not. Have you ever heard of the word? Maybe you have, Nabin Chandra and Arsenicoitai.
I want to say yes, and I can't think of why I've heard it.
Mind blown that I've only realized or learned this as of like the past year. But the original, from what I have learned and read recently, the original writing words used in the Bible or in the Hebronic, I can't even say the word, Abrahamic religions were Arsenicoitai and Nabin Chandra, which meant boy molester, because it was very common for older men to take young boys between the ages of 8 and 15 as lovers. So how ironic. It was never about man-on-man sex. It was never about gay, about homosexuality. It was about don't touch boys. And then in 1947, again, this is, this is what I've read and learned recently, that's in 1947 in the German, and one of the German re-renditions of a Bible, that it was changed to, a man shall not sleep with another man, it is an abomination. And so then it was like, so it's like, okay, guys, organized religion, Christianity, you don't have to hate on gay people anymore. It wasn't ever even originally intended. It was originally intended not to touch children. Boys.
There are 7 pieces of scripture in the Bible. There's 7.
Yeah, don't get me started.
And it's funny. There's actually a really good documentary on it.
What is it? I love.
I would have to look it up.
Learning about all this stuff.
But there's a really good documentary. I will make sure that you get the information.
Yes.
But they go through and they take all 7 pieces, all 7 verses, which are scattered through the Old Testament, and talk about the story that it's talking about. And the one that's always quoted, that you just quoted, is actually because they gave the men, the people they were being attacked, and those soldiers were trying to rape the daughters, and instead raped, they were trying to give up the sons instead.
Wasn't it about raping the angels, and Lot gave his virgin daughters to the crowd to rape instead of?
It was the other way around. It was the daughters.
Okay, it must be a different story.
The daughters were not supposed to be. They were trying not to get the daughters raped. They were trying to give them the sons. That's basically what it came down to.
Okay, I'm not okay.
And that's where that Leviticus comes from. That's the story of the Leviticus, that everyone's like, well, you shouldn't lay down. Well, no, that's really. And it wasn't even from that perspective. It was the other perspective. It was the soldier saying that, not the
Yeah, it's insane how much rape is condoned all throughout Old and New Testament of the Bible.
right.
I mean, the one story I'm talking about is where these guards or these soldiers were wanting to rape angels, and Lot says, no, take my virgin daughters to have them. And then there's the other story about the war where, I don't know who won, but like, kill all the men and women who have known men, meaning women who are not virgins, and take the all the girls who have not known men and give them to your sons. Like, what if I don't want to marry him?
Yeah.
What if I don't want to have sex with him? And it's just like, and when you read this shit, you're like, what? That's not the happy clappy Jesus loves
Right.
me that I learned in Sunday school and church.
When you
Like,
you realize what they're really talking about as an adult, right?
yeah,
Not what we thought of when we were kids and what we were fed.
right, of
And
course.
I have read the full Bible. There was
I haven't read the full, but I read enough to where I went, you got to be fucking kidding me with this shit. This is not God. This is man.
I was in the choir. I had won preaching competitions. I had a full ride scholarship to Bob Jones University for some of the stuff I've done. I was a 3-time a week plus the choir plus the orchestra person. Okay, did every camp, did everything. We got a new pastor. So we had an older pastor, and he was amazing. And I grew up Baptist also, and it was closer to Southern Baptist than it was anything else. And the one pastor was all about love, and the next pastor came in, and I didn't even know I was gay yet. I really didn't know I was gay yet. But he did the Hell and Damnation speech from the pulpit. And I realized you can't say that from there. You can't say that from the space that you're in and who you are. Like, it wasn't even about me at the time. I'm just like, you can't say that from there. And it made me, and in that moment, I questioned everything.
Absolutely. It's like God loves you, but he's going to condemn you to hell if you don't believe in this specific. Like, no, that's not how any of this works. That's not how any of this works.
Right. And so I became, I really did. I went through Wicca. I went through a whole bunch of stuff. And, my mom and I, when I did come out, my mom disowned me for a month, like a couple months. We had we had a lot of time, a few years that was still very strained. Like as long as I didn't talk about anything in my life, I was okay. Right. Until my grandmother actually bought me the whole kit, How to Pray the Gay Away. The whole motherfucking kit. Not even the little kit, not even like, a couple things. No, I'm talking all the audios, all the videos, all the books. It was a box that was like, 4x4x4 box full of materials.
Wow.
And in that moment, and I was always very close to my grandmother. My grandmother was living with me. I just got my settlement for my brain surgery.
Wait. You just got your what from your brain?
Settlement from my brain surgery.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I had brain surgery.
We got a Facebook user. Okay, I just wanted to say hello to Christina. Girl, yes, and I love you too. And a Facebook user, you must be commenting from my Defa Rickalicious and You group page, but it says, preach, guys. Laugh my ass off emojis. But okay, I didn't realize that you had brain surgery.
Yeah, I had brain surgery back in '97. So came out, did the crazy, like I came out, mom and I had some things, and 97 I had brain surgery. That's the year that Matthew Shepard died.
Who's that, Matthew Shepard?
Okay, Matthew Shepard was a gay kid that was in a gay bar, and he went to the bathroom, and some guys, he was hitting on some guys, and he was beaten and left on the
tied to the fence.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
That happened, and something else happened like that year, and it could have been me just as easily.
Right.
I was the same age, the same everything, and so we had this whole big huge thing on that, and how I shouldn't be going out, and my mom is religious, and my mom, every so often will throw a "you're going to hell" to me. Right. even still to this day. I'm over 40 years old.
Yeah.
I'm over 40 years old. I came out when I was 18, and I still get it here and there, a lot less.
Right. Right.
Not, you
Right.
know. As a matter of fact, when I came up here, I was up here in November, and we had a conversation. And she goes, "I'm just so sad that I'm not going to see you in heaven when I die."
And see, okay, guys, I just, when we, the concept of like, God is all knowing, but yet you have the free will. Well, let me explain something. The story of Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve didn't have the free will to do anything other than what all-knowing God already knew they were going to choose to do before all-knowing God and all-powerful God chose to create them.
Mhm.
And I listened to a podcast this guy does. He's hilarious. It's called The Bible Says What? But he interviews people, of various religious faiths. Well, okay, the Bible, so it'd be Christian.
Mhm.
And he knows way more about the Bible than most of them. And he's like, just like calling them out. Okay, well, wait a minute, explain this to me. So we have this free will. Okay, well, and then he uses this analogy of a preschool. He said, so we got this garden. And there's any tree in this garden that you can eat off of, except for that one tree. Why put that one tree in the garden to begin with? Did God not already all know they were going to choose to eat off that tree? Why make it a game? Why is it a game? And he says it's like putting a piece of poisonous candy in the middle of a preschool classroom and telling all the kids, eat any piece but that one. Well, what are they going to be intrigued? And it's like cognitive dissonance around that belief is mind-blowing. But you can't rationalize, because people, and I can be guilty of wanting to believe what I want to believe, God.
Mhm.
I ain't perfect. I mean, when I have faith about something, or I'm adamant or passionate about something, and you could present facts, or you could present like an argument that would make me think, and I might rationalize or justify, but yeah, it's just it's cognitive dissonance.
My favorite part of that whole story: Adam and Eve leave and go to a village.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Where the hell did the village come from?
Oh, better yet. Oh my God, have you ever thought about this? So, Adam and Eve had Cain and Abel.
Mhm.
And Cain killed Abel because he was jealous over God preferring Abel's offering over his. So he kills his brother. God approaches, Cain, like, where is your brother? And Cain's like, am I my brother's keeper? And so he realizes God knows that he killed his brother.
Mhm.
And so God's okay, I'm going to cast you out to the land. You're out of the Garden of Eden and you're into the land of Nod, where there's all these other people, because Cain was scared of all, like, what if they kill me? If they know I killed my brother, he goes, I will put a curse. God says to Cain, I'll put a curse on anyone who harms or hurts you. You will be safe. Well, hold on. Ding, 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 ding. Where the hell did all these other people come from? Because they didn't come from Adam and Eve, because Adam and Eve only had Cain and Abel, and then they had Seth. No daughters. So it's like, again, that the story doesn't make sense.
They have 3 sons.
They have what?
They
Three
have 3
sons. They had 3 sons: Cain, Abel, and then Seth.
Yeah.
So where are all these other people who are Cain's age that he's afraid of? So then we cannot all be from that original sin. Mm-hmm. So and then we're not even out of Genesis, and we've got the ark story, and then God is destroying everybody but one family. Like,
but the flood story happens in multiple religions.
Yes, Epic of Gilgamesh is a
so and many stories and many cultures, and it's weird that the thought is that story is older than we think.
It's BC. I think Epic of Gilgamesh.
Well, Abraham would be BC, but
yeah. Before, yeah.
But before the whole Abrahamic idea, right? So we're talking about a story that's been passed down for millennia before it even gets to the point where we're writing it down and making it into Noah. It could have been Noah. It could have been Noah. It could have been Gilgamesh.
Could have been Frank.
Right. It could have been Frank. But that's just who they decide to call it, because they're writing down the story.
Yeah.
I tell a story about a butterfly, and as he's coming out of his, and I call him Fred. And I know that, and I'm retelling a story that I've heard like 50 million times, but I call him Fred. And so he becomes Fred through this whole thing. And I've written a couple other parts of
Yeah.
the story as he goes on. So, but it's just funny to me that there are so many people, and I'm not knocking the religion itself, right?
Well,
I'm not knocking the religion itself. You believe what you believe, and I'm okay with that.
spiritual. There are spiritual aspects to,
Right.
and yeah.
I believe everything that came. I believe every word that came out in red.
I'm sorry. You believe
I believe every word that's written in red.
that's written in red. So, like is that the King James version?
Yeah, the King James, anything that Christ says, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Nowhere in that does he say he's God.
Oh well, this is something. Um. Yeah. Yeah.
He is the best law of attraction. If you study Christ, what he said and what he did, he is the best law of attraction teacher you've ever had. So the problem is that we create a myth around him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he was married to Mary Magdalene. If you don't believe that, look at Jewish law. The only way that she could be in that tomb was if she was married to him. He was a Jew. He was an adamant Jew.
Mm-hmm.
So he was not going to break law for anyone. No one was going to break the Jewish laws with him. So look at if you stop the story and listen to the life that he had, right? Mind you, we only know about 3 or 4 years out of
Right.
his whole
Right.
life.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened? And there's talks
You
that
know.
he went to a Buddhist monastery. There's talks that he studied with all kinds of other things. There are stories that he was with Native Americans. There's all kinds of things.
Now these things I've not heard.
Yeah. So, you know, you just have to realize that we made up stories about him and what he said. If you read one of the Gnostic texts, and I can't remember who wrote it at the moment. I think it's Peter, actually, but
Mm-hmm.
it just literally it's all the things, and it's a lot of the other gospels take from this one, but it's
Mm-hmm.
basically things that Christ actually said, like paragraphs of what he actually said.
Okay, so was there? But see, here's the thing, and I don't know if you've ever seen the documentary with Bill Maher. It's called Religulous.
I'd have.
But
Yeah.
okay, remember when he's sitting there talking to the scientist, and the scientist is talking. The scientist is religious; he considers himself a Christian, and he's talking about Christ's autobiographers, and Bill's like, "What?" He goes, anybody and everybody who ever wrote about Jesus never knew Jesus. They were 200 years or 200 years after, 200 years before or 200 years after, and he goes, so if you were one of Christ's autobiographers, you remember the scene where he goes, "Oh yeah, take out the part because the virgin birth is not in all 4 of the Gospels," and he's like, "Oh yeah, the part about the virgin birth." He goes, "I can't imagine being any of Christ's biographers and going, yeah, the part about the virgin birth, yeah, that's not interesting. Take that out." So.
Well, they went and did a whole back in the 1500s. I want to say it's 1500s, Middle Ages. The
Mm-hmm.
church went and decided what was canon and what was
Uh-huh.
and took out anything that wasn't canon. And so if you look
Canon,
at
Cannon.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
so if you look at what you look at the Gnostics. If you look at there are some Orthodox religions that have books in there that you've never heard of,
Oh yeah.
and because they were prominent in that religion in this space, and so the Catholics didn't when it took out. The King James version is literally the version from when they went to Church of England,
Mm-hmm.
and he took out more. That's on the
Yeah,
Catholic.
right. Yeah.
So, but this is the word of God.
Right.
This is everything in here is absolutely true. Absolutely, we should live our lives by. And yeah.
And no, because I mean, and see that's the big, huge problem that I have with what I have learned through reading the Bible is that okay, so you've got your people over here saying that it's wrong to be gay. It says so in Leviticus, blah 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 blah. Blah. It's what about all the verses that condone and actually promote slavery?
Mhm.
All throughout Old and New Testament. Well, it seems like, and women were nothing but property of either their fathers or other men. And if you were not a virgin, our only worth and value was our virginity and our ability to reproduce. And I remember, that there's a couple verses in Deuteronomy that speak of a woman not being a virgin and shaming her father and they stoning her on her father's steps. But if the man lied and she did bleed on the sheets on their wedding night, then and he claimed that she was not a virgin, then he's to be whipped, but she's stoned. And it's like when you read this stuff and you're like, okay, so I think in spite of what's written in the Bible and what Christianity seems to want to purport, we have evolved and become a more humane collective of human beings, even though we have a lot. The fact that we even have war and we have school shootings and we have all this crazy fucked up bullshit, we obviously have a lot farther to go. But I created a meme like I don't know 7, 8, 9 years ago, and it's just like in spite. Women have the right to vote. Women have the right to have land. Women have the right to have their own bank accounts and credit cards without their husband's name. Certainly, especially in this country, slavery is not something that is still legal. I mean, we still have a lot farther to go. With
race relations, yeah.
with race relations and really bringing about the equality that we all are.
Right.
And but again, it takes the conversations like we're having today just to plant seeds. It's not something that happens overnight, but it's planting seeds to bring a more consciously aware, spiritually evolved way of being in the world that is love and really, I mean, loving thy neighbor as thyself and really doing unto others as you would have them do unto you. Those are the two verses. So okay, open the Bible. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. The end. Yep. All the other bullshit that's written in there is completely irrelevant, and it's done a lot of harm. Historically, people believing and following the bullshit that is done a lot of harm. And yes, I'm saying it. And most people that watch my podcast, or at least a lot of people know me, know how I feel about organized religion and
it's one of the reasons why I went to Judaism.
Yeah,
because
that sounds beautiful and loving.
It's the thing is, and there's not the dogma. There's not like I could have been. In me, it's a very Buddhist religion. It's very Zen. It's very Eastern religion, and but I know Christian Jedi. I know so they've worked it out. However, I still can't explain that. But for me, it's a very Eastern religion. So I could have went and studied Buddhism and would have came to a same kind of space, right? Or Hinduism and came to a same kind of space, or or Taoism. And but at the end of the day, they all have these ways to show how you believe. And one of the great things about Judaism, there isn't one. There's just not. And there are people out there that are the copying movie stuff, and there's some out there like me. I don't have a lightsaber. I don't plan on having a lightsaber. And I told somebody the other day, if they want me to marry them in robes, they have to buy the robes because they're expensive as hell. I don't have a problem wearing them, but they're not something I need, and I don't necessarily need them. It's not part of my vision of how this is, right? So it really just takes away all of the dogma around all of it, and it gets to the core of spirituality, and that's why I really went there.
I love that. Yeah, like that. That's beautiful. That's real. All is one. That
Truly.
really is all as one. It's not, if you don't believe like I believe, you're going to hell.
Right.
If you're not a Muslim, like my mom and daddy's best friends are Muslim, and they're two of my most favorite people. Their kids are like brother and sisters to me. I love, love, love these people. And I know I've talked to my mom in Iran, and Mama's always said, I pray that Iran they will become Christian. And Iran's like, why? I don't pray that you'll become Muslim. And because, again, as a Christian, you're taught that unless you believe that Jesus Christ is your savior, you're going to this fictitious place called hell, that God, it's like one of my girlfriends, God, you would love her, Malia Black. She wrote a blog post called "The God of the Bible is the ultimate narcissist. Love me or else."
Right.
I love you, but if you don't love me and you don't believe you're going to for torture and eternity, and you fear me. Why should I fear? It sounds like what you're talking about with Jediism. There's nothing to fear. It's just all about embracing and accepting and
Yeah. There
love.
is one of the core pieces, and I think it's one of the maxims, actually, the 21 maxims, is that we have to we swear to defend the faith. Well, the faith is that you can believe whatever you want to believe. If you're a Christian, you're a Christian. And I totally believe that you should believe that. If that
Right.
makes
If
you,
you
if
find your peace and love through Jesus Christ, 100%.
however you
100%.
however you do it.
Mhm.
Now, don't tell me the Bible is 100% true and that's the only way through,
Right.
because I have to pull out shit, and then I have to show you how it's not, and then I feel bad because so it makes me, because most of the time they're adamant about it and like want to hit me upside the head with the Bible.
Hmm.
So then I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah. I grew up that way.
yeah, I'm like, no, I'm going to just show you. I'm going to give you two verses that are going to fuck you up for the rest of your life, and you're going to always question this. Okay, so
Yeah. And Jeff, you can probably sense like there is an amount of anger that I've actually, because I stopped, being, consider myself, I'm not a Christian, like when I was, it's like, golly, over 20 years ago. And I
yeah,
just remember the freedom, like it was the Deuteronomy verse where a woman, it was like, it was all about raping a woman that wasn't yours. And
hmm,
then it was like, if a man seizes a woman and lies with her, he is to pay her father 50 shekels of silver. He is to marry her, and he's not to divorce her all of his days. And after reading all the verses throughout Old and New about how women were just nothing but property,
yeah,
had like nothing but property. I went, you got to be fucking kidding me with this shit. This is not God. This is man. And on the pure side, like there was just this pure shock at that verse. And on the other side of that shock, Jeff, was like this overwhelming sense of like freedom, that I didn't have to worry. I didn't have to believe. I didn't have to, like, what I'd been fed.
hmm,
And I can't imagine, I can't explain like the freedom. And again, then now that I had a new mindset, and I was like, whoa, and it's amazing then what started to show up, what I started to come across and understand. Like, have you ever read the book, The Celestine Prophecy?
yes, and it's been a long enough time that I can't remember it.
Well, it talks about like the dramas. You've got your interrogator drama, your poor me drama. Somebody's
Okay,
always
yeah,
how we gain our energy, through trauma, through dramas.
hmm,
And it's just like my whole world. I went to Amsterdam that year. You know, it was just it was such a catalyst, an amazing catalyst that catapulted me in my life. But I don't regret having the experience of growing up going to church. We were in church every time the doors were open. I
hmm,
loved youth group. I loved, we I loved my friends. I mean, we had a great time. I never experienced abuse. Like there's people who experienced abuse in the church, like physical, mental,
yeah,
sexual abuse, and which that can happen outside of the church too. But it's like, you know, but you can sense that there's like this anger, like there's still like this anger, because we're still dictating laws based upon bullshit that is completely irrelevant in the
and
body.
and not there, and not there, and not
Hmm.
there. We have a separation of church and state on purpose. So when you start telling me that I can't live my life because of your religion, there's a problem. West Wing actually has this beautiful, beautiful scene where Bartlett comes in, and this had one of those radio hosts, and it was supposed to be Dr. Laura, based on her, and
Yeah,
she was
Dr. Laura.
really, yeah. Remember Dr. Laura?
Oh God, yeah. I was, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So she says something, and she's sitting down, and it's the press dinner or something like that, and he walks in, and he gives this whole speech of all the laws in Leviticus. So should I my wife refuses not to wear single fabric clothes and
Put
like
to
all
death,
the
death,
right.
shellfish.
Do I have to kill my do I have to kill my mother because of something else? It's like all these things, and you think of how ridiculous it is
Yeah.
until you start talking about homosexuality, abortion. Abortion's not even
Right.
found in that whole. There's nothing in there at all.
But there's all this stuff about killing children, like killing all the firstborns. You know, you remember that they were putting blood on the doors, and it's like,
Passover.
huh?
Passover.
Yeah, Passover. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
It's like,
To get out of
y'all
Egypt.
sick.
Yeah.
There's a lot of sick shit.
Yeah. And it's I've been fired for being gay. I've been fired.
Wow.
Um, I'll never forget this because I was like, "You're fucking kidding me, right?" I was in a chat room for gay men, and it was literally a very innocent chat room. If you looked at it, you'd be like, anything that happened in the private rooms, completely different, right? I know what could happen there, but if you look at it and you can read everything on, I had transcripts of all my shit. I was working for what was called Music Depot. This is before iPods. So,
Okay. Oh, wow.
so we were basically an online version of um oh god, what was that? Harmony House. The one where
Okay.
you
Never heard of it.
like where you had you paid $1 for 9 CDs or something like that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I know it was called, oh God, Columbia House.
There we go. There we go.
Yes. I was like, yeah, yeah.
It was an online version of that.
Yes.
At this point, this is before digital downloads. People, I was online before digital downloads. Yeah.
Napster. Well, that would be digital.
Napster. Yeah,
Yeah, that'd be digital.
Napster was around, but you weren't downloading because there was nothing to put it on.
Right. I used to download. God, I used to download so much music on that. Anyway.
I have an email address from MP3. One of my email addresses is Jeff MP3, right? And I've had it since MP3 was a new technology. So my Google address was an invitation. I had an invitation to try Gmail because that's the only way you can get into Gmail at first. So, it's just been around for a while. But one of the things, so they told us to go into, we were in customer service, and they told us to go into chat rooms and talk about the company and all this kind of stuff, which is what I was doing. The gay community typically has more disposable income because they don't have kids. Welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome. We don't have kids. So,
yeah.
They have more disposable income. They actually use it. They're just like teenagers, right? Teenagers are the second highest with disposable income. So, yes, I'm talking to them, and they're early adopters. So, if you want something to be actually really go through a community and really become adopted, you actually want the gay community to grab it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I've heard that. So tell me why you were fired.
Because I was in a gay chat room.
How did they know you were you at work on the gay chat?
Yeah, because that's what they were telling us all to do, to get on chat rooms and do all this stuff. Because we had chat rooms.
Oh, I see. Okay, so they told you get on chat rooms, but they didn't specify what type. So when you were in a gay chat room, they realized you were gay and they fired you. When was this? Because they can't do that now.
That was in 98, and actually almost everywhere until recently, until the Marriage Equality Act happened, there was still laws. There's no protection for you nationally.
Wow.
It's up to the states. And this is when we're talking about trans rights
Mm,
now.
yeah. Yeah.
As we're talking about this, I dealt with that back in the 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I had in the same year, that year, I was working. I was working down in Florida. I was lived in West Palm Beach, Florida, and one of my employees, I was managing a restaurant, and one of my employees called me a fucking faggot in my dining room. Okay, what you say to me in the back of house, I can deal with, right? You don't talk to me like that in front of house. There's reasons for that, right? And I would, because in the back of house, I probably would have said something stupid right back to him. But
Mm-hmm.
he said it because he said, you and your faggot friends who were actually in the dining room. And so I wrote him up. But the way the hierarchy worked, I couldn't write him up. I couldn't sign the write up. Someone else, the manager, had to sign it. And he refused to sign it. Um, it There was a big thing. There was a whole like thing, and it was because I was gay. It was,
Yeah.
I've been. Uh,
I I heard I don't remember if I heard this or read this, but it said that 70% of men, and again, this might not be accurate, I don't know, but 70% of men who have sex with men are actually straight. So, so
I
it's
don't
like
know.
it's,
Okay, so there's a
but is
scale.
that straight? I mean, or if you have the desire,
There's a scale. It's called the Kinsey Scale. This
okay,
is
never
this
heard of
is
that.
done. This has been done in the 20s. There was all
Okay,
kinds of sex research done in the 20s, in one of the Ivy League schools, and I can't remember. His name was Kinsey, and he had surveys on sex and had like these really good conversations, studied sexuality for the first time, right?
yeah,
And they call it the Kinsey Scale, right?
okay,
And you're probably not a 1, and you're probably not a 10, right? You're somewhere in between. Now, bisexuality would be a 5, right? It would be pure bi. No
mm-hmm,
one's really pure bi either. You're not a
mm-hmm.
5. You're somewhere in that range, right?
Right, between like a 3 and an 8.
3 and 8. And it's like when you start realizing that we all have had experiences. I've slept with women. I used to joke that every 7 years, because for a while there, in my adult life, for like 3 different cycles,
Uh-huh.
every 7 years I fell in bed with a woman, um, for whatever reason, and we won't go into that. But
Love it.
I probably wasn't alone with a woman, but that's okay. And you know, I there's been a joke that I pretty much, if you can do it, I've probably done it, and that's true. It's up to a female to male trans man. It's the only distinction. I've been with lesbians. I've done
Mhm,
2 women. I've done
mhm.
all kinds of things, right?
Yeah.
And
Do
this is
you watch Schitt's Creek?
I have not seen it, and like I've seen like 3 episodes. It's good. It's one of the things I have not got into. Yeah.
Oh my God, David. Oh my God, he talks about, I'm not gonna tell you. Oh my God, Jeff, that's like one of my favorite shows on the planet. Like, I love that show. Anyway.
I It was one of the ones that it was good, but I didn't get it at the right time. Like there was other things, and I don't watch enough TV. Like I literally give myself an hour and a half of TV at
Oh, good
tops.
for you.
Um,
That's great. I love it. That's
so
great.
normally at the end of the night. So if I'm not if there's for me to go back to it, I don't know. It's one of the ones I want to see actually, but they're getting ready to come out with a new Queer as Folk, and I want to see that more right now. Because the original was transformative in my life. Really, guys, if you want to know what gay life was like in the 90s and early 2000s, go back to the Queer as Folk from then. I think it came out in 2000 actually, and look at what they did there, because they really did talk about what the gay community looked like in an unapologetic way. The
I
sex, the
love it.
drugs, the
Yeah.
craziness,
Yeah.
the all of it, and not necessarily, and yes, they were stereotypical, like the archetypes, right? The characters
Mhm.
were all archetypes,
Mhm. Mhm.
but we know those people. Like
Right, yeah.
I could point you that person. That archetype comes from here. I can tell you who they are. I could give you
Mhm.
3 different versions of them in my community right now, and we're not all X, you know what I mean? But it was very, very good. It was a very good version of what gay life looked like back then. It doesn't look
Right.
like that so much anymore.
Mhm.
The bar scene isn't as important because we have other things. I'll never forget when I was in a relationship for 7 years, and in the middle of that is when all the apps came out.
The apps.
Yeah, apps like Tinder and Grinder and
Mhm. Mhm.
Scruff, and there's a new one that I just found out, which is oh god, I already forgot it. When I was like, huh? But yeah, all these apps came out, that for dating and hooking up and all that kind of stuff. That
Right.
didn't that didn't exist before I
Oh,
was
yeah, yeah,
married.
yeah, not in the I mean, they had dating apps, I remember in the '90s, but it was like, eHarmony and, it's about finding love, nothing there was no hookup apps.
There was Manhunt, and it was a
Man,
website,
never heard of it.
Manhunt, and Manhunt was it was a hookup site, but it was really weird. Like it didn't tell you where they were. Like you got to remember, GPS isn't that old, right?
Yeah, I know, yeah.
So smartphones. When I first started dating my ex, it wasn't really a smartphone yet. We had the we started getting internet on the phone, but it was
Mhm.
still really weird and it not like we look at now. People, I'm even looking at that, I'm like, okay, I'm old. Um,
You are not old.
so, but it's just funny because we have when we were out and I had access to apps and all this stuff, and I remember just going like, oh my god, I can't do this. How the hell
Mhm.
do you? And that's how people meet now. Like
Yeah,
more
and
often than
and
not.
yeah, it 'cause, like, I personally have always been kinda like, stay away from dating apps, stay away from dating sites, sites, I mean, because 'cause they've always been sites, because I'm like, it should happen organically in my this is my opinion, y'all. This
Mhm.
is my opinion, because I think that when and this is just, again, my opinion, when you're on a dating site or an app and you're looking and you're looking at someone's profile, if you like their pictures and if you like what they have written, oh, long walks on the beach and bottles of wine and sunset cruises, and then it's like it's almost okay, I love it. Okay, this is the perfect. Remember in Wedding Crashers when the secretary comes in to tell Jeremy, she brings him the red sleeping bag, and she's like, "What is this for?" He goes, "Every year, my friend, his parents died when he was 12. We have a sleepover on his birthday." She goes, "Oh, I have the perfect girl for you." And he's like, "Oh God, please, no. Like, don't, he goes, "What does he say?" He says it so perfect. He goes, "I don't like the forced, awkward intimacy that people like to call dating. Ouch, ouch, you're on my hair. Ooh, just the
Mhm.
tip, just to see, just a second to see how it feels." Because it's like a forced, awkward, intimate situation. So it's in essence fake. Whereas if you're at a party or if you're at the gym or if you're in this natural environment at somebody's house or it's the grocery store and you observe
So
someone being, it's like and you're attracted to the vibe, to them. It's like that's real, not okay, well, I told, I wrote on my dating profile that, I like this and I'm this way and I don't want this. And then you get together and it's like a forced, awkward, intimate situation. I
see,
just think it should be more real and natural.
there's actually there's an issue with that though. So that
Okay. What's
assumes that assumes that you're actually able to go to a grocery store and hit on somebody that's
no, no,
there,
no. I use grocery store. I even said gym. Some people don't even go to the gym. I mean,
right? But
anywhere. Like, yeah,
but
anywhere.
when you're gay, lesbian, trans, on the side, literally, especially like me, right? My
Hmm.
age, and I'm in a few more years. literally you can get beat up for looking at somebody.
Uh, okay. No. Okay. Ooh.
So
Okay. Okay.
okay,
Yeah. Now. Well, you've just opened myself up.
so
My mind up. Yeah.
right, so you have this whole thing. So that's why the bars were important, right? They were safe spaces, and they were such they were only place that you could feel safe.
Okay. See, I was speaking from a perspective of and now you've educated me. That
And
makes sense.
and even as a straight man,
Mm-hmm.
right? So going up to a woman, it nowadays it's absolutely horrible. I feel bad for them because they're in the same perspective. If you even try to attempt to talk to a woman these
Mm-hmm.
days, it's this, well, why would you objectify me like that? And why would you I've been
Gotcha.
yelled at for opening a freaking door because I don't need
Yeah.
to open
I
a door.
hear about this. I've not. Yeah.
And
Huh.
so we're in a space that it's so hard to do that organically like you would like it.
Mm-hmm.
In the perfect world, yes, the organic works. But the problem is that we are in a space where everyone is offended, everyone is um, combative almost,
Yeah.
and
Cancel culture.
in cancel culture, that you can't really have that kind of relationship or start that kind of relationship. The old days of like crashing into somebody in the grocery store.
Okay. So, but I ask you this. Okay, well, I guess maybe I'm more like when I think about the guys that I've met that I've wound up dating or hooking up with or whatever, it was in
Mhm.
a situation where it was either at school and I knew them from class, or it was in social situations at mutual friends' houses or parties. Like that's how I met my current boyfriend, was at a friend's home who was throwing a birthday party. So, I mean, but like in the gay community as well, there's social gatherings. Or is there?
So there is, if you are in that social gathering. So you got to remember that a lot of um, the gay community. So drugs are rampant.
Hmm. Okay.
Bars were safe spaces. Bars were churches. So yes, there are parties and yes, there are things. And if you have gay friends and if you've developed that community, like I was just at a really great barbecue all weekend. I was at a friend's house. There were two barbecues. We had a really great time. It was amazing. I could
Yeah.
have met somebody there, right?
Yeah.
If the
Yeah.
right person was there.
Hmm.
The problem is that not everyone has cultivated that kind of community, and now
I
that the
gotcha.
now that people are trying to stay out of bars, they may be trying to stay out of bars. The apps are full. Even the apps are full of. There's a lot of drugs in the gay community,
Hmm.
and I think it is more than in the straight community, um, and it's so much more accepted in the straight community than in the straight community that you just realize, okay, I'm not gonna deal with them because they're on drugs, or I will because I don't care. But
Gotcha.
because you're always trying, they're what I like to call the gay wound, right? The gay wound of feeling different, feeling other, feeling outside of. And so you're always trying to fill that. And however you choose to fill that,
Hmm.
be it sex, drugs, whatever, until you get whole, you're going to try to fill it with something.
So I have a question.
Mhm.
What, in your experience, or what can we do? Because again, we have a lot farther to go, but we have evolved. Because, like,
Mhm.
in the 70s, it was illegal, 80s, illegal, maybe. And in the 90s, started to become accepted. Now we're in the 2000s. Now we're in the 2010, now we're in 20s. And you're telling me that it's still like that majority of gay people are made to feel, because you are whole and complete exactly as you are. But what you're sharing with me
Yeah.
here is that a lot of gay people in your experience
Mhm.
don't feel that. So, but I think
Yeah.
in general, because I mean, a lot of people they operate from that lack of self-worth.
Mhm. And it's not an only gay thing
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
by any means. right? It's not exclusive. The gays did not get this, did not corner this. But
Right.
what ends up happening though is that because it is such a, it's still such a divisive conversation. Okay. And mind you, like I said, my mom is still, I am 44 years old. I came out at 18. My mom said something to me uh, 8 months ago where I ended up, we both, I left the state with both of us crying.
Yeah.
Okay. So this, and I love my mom, and my mom is
Yeah.
very supportive. My mom moved in with me and my ex, for God's sakes. It's not like, but she said something that just triggered, and we had an all out drag out. And, I'm not Christian. I'm not, I'm
Yeah.
obviously not Christian.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Me
so
neither.
right. So we had the whole, and you probably had conversations like this with your family too. It's, you know,
Jeff, yeah, you have no idea. Like my parents, like, they think that I'm brainwashed. I'm like, no, I'm the one who actually sat down and started reading and researching the Bible and became atheist. I consider
right.
myself, I mean, it's on my profile. I'm a spiritual atheist humanist.
Hmm.
But those are, it's not what I am. Those are three words that describe the way in which I think and operate in the world.
Yeah. And it's the labels that they understand.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a label. These are words. Again, yeah, they're just words. But I'm a very spiritual person. Like I pray, but I'm not
Mhm.
praying to something outside of myself. I'm
Right.
praying to that which I am and connected to. Like if you
Mhm.
were hurting, or like I was, during like at the start of the Ukraine war, like every day I was meditating and bringing in this beautiful white light that I'm connected because I'm connected to Putin. We're all connected to Putin,
Yeah.
and just like sending this white light to his heart because he's a hurt person.
Mhm.
Hurt people, happy people don't. And he's a hurt person. Because you and I would never start a war with other people that didn't agree or didn't want to do what we wanted them to do. So I would imagine this white light just hitting his heart and him like having like almost a, because you hear, again, these are my words. This is the scenario I envisioned,
Mhm.
him like falling to the floor and having like this near death experience where he's outside, where his soul, whatever you want to call it, is outside of his body, and realizes that he is of love, and that and all these people, the whole world is of of it. So, and he just has like this epiphanic moment where he's like, he wakes up because he doesn't die, and he realizes, he's like, what the fuck am I doing? How am I? And I'm getting cold chills. Like, how am I hurting these people? These people are me. I am these people. And he just like and I envision him busting out, like he's got like double doors. His
Yeah.
bedrooms are double doors, and he busts open the doors and he runs out. And he goes, "Stop the war! Stop the bombing! Stop the bombing!" And it's like, but yeah, but Stephanie, that's not possible. Oh, but and like, no, like envision, because if you can think it, anything that exists in physical reality has first been a thought in the mind, and
Mhm.
I'm planting seeds. So yeah, and that's what I would call that, the word. I'd use the word to describe that as prayer.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so powerful. It's just powerful.
Yeah.
The things that we can do if one of the things that Alan Watts says that I always you've seen me quote it plenty of times. Peace can only be made by those who are peaceful.
Thank you.
So
Mm-hmm.
when you're angry and you're fighting against something, you're fighting against it. You're not peaceful. You're never going to change someone's mind. I promise you. I've learned over the years. I don't care how many times I've studied, how much they actually know I've studied, um, whatever it is that, but they'll still throw something at me and will not listen. Even when I threw evidence and everything else, it doesn't matter what if you're right or wrong.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, you're not going to change anything. So I started doing this thing with my sister, and I love my sister so much because she takes so much crap. Um, her, my sister has three genetic daughters, right?
Uh-huh.
One of them is bi, One of them is trans, and one of them hasn't declared yet, right? So, and my sister says all the time how I was, because of me coming out when I did, and my older brother was also gay, but I still came out first. So it was a big, huge deal when I came out, and I was, yeah. But
Yes.
we had this whole. She called me the other day. So two things. First off, what I realized is when I get triggered, I take a screenshot of whatever triggered me, whatever post triggered me, whatever scroll, whatever did it, and I take a screenshot and I said to my sister, triggered number one, and leave it and label it and leave it and don't respond, don't react, don't go off on the tangent, you know, stupid person,
Mm-hmm.
tangent, don't agree, they're saying something stupid, or just something that I don't like, I don't understand how they can, or I can, what I want to do is go and educate you like crazy. And
Mm-hmm.
and that takes my energy to do that.
Right.
So either I can regain, keep my peace, or I can go off on this tangent. That's not going to do anything or change anything.
Well, it's the same thing. It's like, that's where I've always had an issue, taken issue with the resist movement, because what you resist persists. So I think that the wording should have been, embrace, pro, women, equality, instead of like, because again, I think Mother Teresa said, if you want to, like, I'm not going to go to a anti-war rally, but
Yeah.
I'll go to a pro-peace.
Mhm.
So, resist. No, embrace what you want.
One
Embrace.
one of the things that one of the reasons why Obama was elected, honestly, one of the reasons he was elected was because he didn't talk in the fear.
Right. Thank you. OMG. Oh God.
He gave
Thank
his
you.
he gave his version of what he wanted the world to look like
Yes.
and let us get behind it. I invite everyone. I invite everyone just to do the same. Just to look at the world that you want to live, where you want to look at, and be pro that. Stop being against anyone else.
Yeah.
I had friends in the middle of this last election. I was with Trumpers. I was staying on land with some Trumpers, and very intelligent people that I've known my whole life, pretty
Hmm.
much.
Yeah.
And one of the great things, me and the husband would sit there and debate, and we would pull things out. We would both pull it out. Sometimes he was right. Sometimes I was right. It didn't matter, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because Trump wasn't all bad.
Right.
We want to believe he was. He wasn't. He did some great things. He did some things that I wouldn't have done. My problem with Trump is that I didn't believe he was out for everyone's good.
Right.
That's my big thing.
Right.
Like even the Bushes, like everyone else so far, I believe that they had an idea, and I may not agree with that idea, but I believe they were looking for the greater good. He's the first one I can say, you know what? I don't think you were looking for the greater good. You were looking
Hmm.
out for your own interests. Sometimes that helped everyone else, and sometimes it didn't.
And I feel like he, ran on instilling fear in his
Mhm.
people. And, and like, I love Bernie fucking Sanders. And, I do have a lot of friends who support Trump, and we love each other.
Mhm.
Because I don't have the feet that are in the shoes that they walk in, with the life experience that they carry, that creates the mindset and the heart set that creates the way in which they think and live their lives, just like they don't have mine. So, I'm right, I'm wrong, they're right, they're wrong. We can
Right.
each vehemently believe what we believe, but again, it's all based upon what's going on in here. Nothing out there is creating what's going on in here. What's going on in here creates what you see and perceive out there. So, I mean, but, I, I go, like, I felt like Bernie was doing exactly what you're talking about. Like, it wasn't about fear. It was about like creating more for everyone to be able to have a thriving life, a prosperous life, making it a little easier to obtain with your making, making the decision. It's not like just giving, okay, here, just sit on your ass, do nothing, and I'm going to give you this free shit. It's not, it wasn't that, but that was the way Trump, fed it to his people. That's the way his people believed. Oh, all this free shit, who's going to pay for it? And it's like,
Well, we can
no,
pay.
it's not how it works. And we're not trying to take your guns away either. It's just like.
Okay, so Bernie's site, the problem is during that election, his site, whoever wrote his copy needs to be shot.
What happened?
His
Wow,
website, his website was so absolutely just extreme to the point because
I've never been to his site. I just listened to him.
In his website though, what was actually written in the website was so bad, was so extreme, I couldn't with good conscience vote for him.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
And the election before that, when he was the answer for that election. I honestly believe that if he would have got instead of Hillary, he would have been in. Everything.
Oh yeah.
For many different reasons. Not that Hillary is not qualified. Not that Hillary is because she's a woman or anything else. Hillary is just as bad as Trump. Everyone around her went to jail.
Well, they're friends. They're actually friends.
Yeah.
They're actually really good friends.
Everyone around her went to jail except her and Bill. Okay. Mind you, do I think she's qualified? Sure, she's qualified. Actually, she was probably the most qualified person on the stage. Get it. Get why they wanted her. Got why the whole idea of it. But at some point, you have to. And I voted for her. So
yes, I did too.
Right. So as I say this out loud, let me tell you, I did vote for her because she was out of the two candidates, she was the best one. Bernie was actually the better candidate in that.
100%. Right. But see, here's the thing. Can I? Yeah. Okay. Collectively, the mindset and the heart set of Bernie Sanders, collectively as a world, like if you think about all the leaders of the world, they operate from a trance of scarcity mindset, that there's not enough. And when you've got, so for someone like Bernie Sanders, who really has this heartfelt reason why he wants to be a leader, it's not an ego driven. It's really to help and empower others. So, but collectively, with our Kim Jong-uns and our Putins and the world, can you imagine, Bernie wouldn't be, for him to have to make a decision to send young people, in the armies and the militaries to go fight for their lives. I mean, I can't imagine him being able to wrap his head around, okay, I'm going to send troops. You see what I'm saying? And I'm just using that as an example. Right. I think we just don't have the mindset. If we had other people leading other countries and other parts of the world that had the same mindset and heart set of someone like Bernie, yes. But we're not there yet. We're not there to where he could be president. And I'm not ignorant enough to believe that. I want to believe that, but.
And like I said, I think that I think that he wasn't in the second one because oh my God, this makes my head hurt. Bringing out Joe Biden out of the fucking mothballs. Okay, I am going to say some things here because it's hurts my head. What the was he doing there? Why they pulled him out? And he won. Okay, great, he won, and we needed him to win. I got it. Other people on that stage could have won. Okay, out of all the people that was on there, someone else could have won. Okay, we would have. Big for the same reasons why he did win, and again, he could have been. Now, had he run right after Obama, could he have won? Yes, he could have won because off of the success of him, and we wouldn't have had Trump. But no, he decided not to because he realized he wasn't the leader that he needed to be. They talked him into running because. Don't know why. I can't even right now, I don't have a clue why he's in office. And I am extremely disappointed that he's there. I don't think that he's the cause of everything that he's getting blamed for.
No, God, no. And no.
Right? Because
President doesn't control gas prices.
ever,
I mean,
ever
gas went down to like $1 something during COVID because nobody was fucking driving.
driving. There
So
was
now everybody's driving, and inflation is everywhere because, yeah, I mean, it's this law of supply and demand, guys. It has not. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if Trump's president, Biden's president, or I'm president.
right. And
And I was running too. It was hashtag. It was hashtag Stephanie 2020. Life will be fabulous for everyone was my slogan. Nobody can argue with that.
I would vote for you. I will.
David Saunders jumps on. No, y'all stole that election. Don't play dumb. Nobody's playing. See that? Why are you being ugly? Nobody stole nothing. And yeah, whatever.
Yeah. You know what? Either way,
Do I know David Saunders? I'm sure I do.
Again,
he's yeah.
David, bless you. Just bless you.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? I respect your sovereignty.
We were not energy independent under Trump. Check that again.
He says, check it again, David. We were not energy independent under Trump.
That was a talking point that Trump had. It never happened. And the only 1 year that we actually exported more than we imported, okay, 1 year. And guess when it was? In the middle of COVID. Because everyone had too much oil. Please check. So, again, the talking. See, and now I'm triggered again. And I promised myself
No.
I'm not triggered. So,
no. Okay. But with respect, again, David has an experience. He has a life experience that we don't identify with because we're not walking in his shoes. So he sees things the way in which his life has told him. And you can't discount him or say he's wrong, but he's, you know, and I gave this analogy, whether you're blue or red, you know, you feel vehemently the way you feel. And it's like, you know, see, and when you see something that validates how you know, oh yes, see, I'm right, you're wrong. We all can do that. Both sides can equally do that.
Yeah. And
it's called bias. It's called perception.
And it's funny because you said the first thing you said was you stole the election. Don't play dumb. I said, yeah, we stole it. We cheated better than you did this time.
There you go. You go.
They were both cheating. We won this time.
Yeah.
Last time we didn't.
Do you know who Matt Kahn is? Matt, Kahn.
The name sounds familiar, but no.
He's amazing. And he talks about like when, you know, just when somebody does something, whether it's ugly or just like the pain that person feels within themselves, about themselves, whatever, about their life. And just to have like so you come from a place of empathy and I respect your sovereignty. I respect your sovereignty. So we have to, we have to consciously, and it's not easy because I don't fucking do it all the time perfectly either, but because I can snap or blow a gasket, you know, but it's like, but okay, Stephanie, but I respect your sovereignty.
Yeah. And, you know, and I don't want to come off like, you know, because again, as I said, because I said this to Chris the day after the election, when it was all announced, right? I had said, and when Renee said, well, you stole they were cheating, they were doing this, I guess. And I said, I guess we cheated better than you guys did this year. And he laughed.
Right.
And his wife went absolutely ape shit. Like, I thought that we weren't stealing. We didn't do anything. We did. And I'm like, number one, it was a joke. Number two.
Right.
Number two.
Everybody's so triggered.
Yeah. And like to the point where she like was threatening I was staying on their property in the RV. So, and she threatened that I needed to leave and I needed this and that. And
wow.
I literally spent a year because of that campaign and I was very much, I didn't fight. Like I wasn't fighting, especially with her. Like once in a while when she would say something like absolutely like out of left field, I would say something, you know, I would pull up a fact that probably me and her husband talked about, right? Already, we talked about it. We've already gone through, we believe what we believe. It's okay, right?
Mm-hmm.
And again, sometimes he's did stuff for me. He sent me stuff that I had to go, okay, I could see where that's come from, right? I don't necessarily agree, but I could see why you would think this or why this would
Right, absolutely. And
right,
I give that to people who don't, I really am very good about, respecting, or at least being able to accept that that person has a completely different life experience that
yeah,
has taught them that this is how it is.
yeah,
And I go, how can I argue with that? How can you can't expect somebody to think like you and feel like you just because you say so.
right. And it's funny because the the wife again has been my friend forever. And one of the things, so funny story about that, when they first got together, I was the first one that was introduced to the husband before they even married. We were that good friends, right? She was my boss for a long time. She's a mentor, she's a second mother to me. And we went I was the first person that was introduced to her now husband. And
Hmm.
he was afraid that I was going to molest his kid
Oh, wow.
because he had never been around gay people. All he heard was that they're child molesters and they're horrible and pedophiles.
And if
And
you fucking right, if that's what's been fed to you and you don't.
right. So, fast forward, 20 years because
Yeah.
I think they've been married 20 years now or 20 no, it's been longer than that because Casey's 22. Oh my god, Casey's 22. Again, making me feel like really old today. Like just those little it's those
Yeah.
reminders. It's, oh yeah, they're 20. But I was in their home for a year.
Hmm.
Like literally, Casey went with me. As a matter of fact, their son went with me on my first two stops, alone with me in an RV on the first two stops for the thing. That's how and like I said in the bio, one of the things I said in my life is that I'm going to live my life out loud. I'm going to just be
Absolutely.
out. I'm out. I don't play pronoun games. I stopped playing those way long time ago. Um, you're either, and I'm not going to throw it down your throat either. You know, trust me, I get enough of the hookers. I get all the hookers that you all get. I get just the same amount. I don't have rainbow everything on my profile. I'm not, you know, but I don't also, I talk about this and I talk about, I've been on shows about relationships and I talk about how I don't want a relationship right now. I'm not in a space that I want one.
Right.
Okay. I want a bed warmer if that.
Yeah, hey, I
And,
get it. Own it.
and,
And that's not bad. That's okay. That's just
right.
fine. I mean, again, these society perpetuations of ideas and ideals of how, you graduate high school, you go to college, you get married, you have the 2.5 kids and the
Mhm.
dog, and it's like there are so many different versions of how an empower, like not empowered, of how an amazing, thriving, abundant, incredible life. There's not one way or two ways. There's a millions of ways in which, if not more than that.
Yeah. And one of the things that I actually talk about a lot in my program is, what is your version of success? There's three things that you need to know in your life.
Mhm. Mhm.
And the first one is who you are. And so you actually read my being statement. Who I am is a divine space anchored by my in-breath and solidified by all other sparks of divine. At my core, devoid of any other thing that label that you can put against me, be there. That's who I am. Everything other than that is a label that I've brought onto myself.
Mhm.
I'm a powerful leader. I'm an instrument of peace. I'm an adventurer. Those are all labels that I brought. But at my
Mhm.
core, I'm a divine space, anchored by my in breath and solidified by all other sparks of the divine. You are making me solid. That's just it.
Absolutely. I love
So
that. I
that's
love
the
that.
very first thing you need to know. Who are you at your core?
Yes.
With not a mom. You might be a mother, you might be a female, you might be whatever you are. Gay, lesbian, straight, all those labels. Who are you at your core?
Right.
Right? Second thing is you need to know what your purpose is. Okay? It's actually really easy. Okay, you take a memory from your childhood, and you can do more than this, but you take a memory from your childhood
Mm-hmm.
and sit down and write down all the emotions that you're feeling in that moment from that memory, right? Second, take one from your teens, and then take one from your early adult. Okay, so you want three, you can do 10, it doesn't matter. What you're going to do is you're going to see that when you, the memories that you can remember, the positive memories you can remember, are going to have common traits to them. Okay, take the three common traits. Your purpose, your absolute purpose, is to live in those three traits, those three ideas, and help others do the same.
Oh, Jeff, that, wow. Now that's good stuff. And I know you sent someone that I know, you sent an email with
Mhm.
that, with your program.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, this, because I love it. But I agree. You must know who you are. And also, like, and I guess you would figure this out through the three things of those childhood memories. It's like what you want and like why you would understand through that
Oh,
why.
now there's a third one.
Why? Oh,
The third one, your
yes.
what your version of success is. So the way I teach that is, what is your perfect week? Not that week on the beach that you're going to take, not that vacation,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So I
Yes.
want you to
Yes.
walk through what you, if everything was the way you wanted it, because trust me, I spent a month on the beach. It was lovely, it was amazing. About a year ago, actually, really close to a year ago, I was on the beach. I was there for a month, literally on the beach. Amazing time, right? But I can tell you, the first week was nice and beautiful, and then I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, let me start living. I need to get back into life. I need to start making the impact I want,
Right.
right? So, what does that
Mhm.
look like? What is it that you want to create in the world? And from
Yes.
nothing, not because I need to fix something, not because I'm trying to, I need $1 million. Well, why do you need $1 million? What does that mean
Right.
to you?
Right. Financial freedom, peace of mind. There's
Right.
a why to everything. Discovering your why. Yes.
And so when you know what your success is and what that looks like and what your purpose is,
Mhm.
and then you can start creating the life that you want around that.
Yes, guys. Yes.
Right? We can create the business around it. I have systems. I could. There's a million different ways I can set up anything in the world. I have a system that I really like that I
Well, I
that
love
actually
what
does a
you
lot of money.
sent my friend. I love
Yeah.
what you sent my friend. Is there a way, because we're going to be wrapping up here really soon.
Mhm.
Is there a way that my listeners, my viewers,
Oh my
can
god.
access that thing that you created? That's just
Yeah.
amazing.
So what she's talking about is how to living your true awesome life now,
Yes.
even if your circumstances suck, right? And it's a guy that
Yes, I
wrote.
love that.
I'm
Living your
giving
true awesome life now, even if your circumstances suck.
suck.
And that's a relative term too.
Yeah, because and trust me, I've had some circumstances. I had my engine went. I went into the water. I went into the flood, right, with the fifth wheel. I went into the flood. It got totaled, right? My home. So think about this. When I was traveling, my home and my vehicle were one. So that got totaled. What am I going to do? I had to get. I ended up getting a U-Haul to take the stuff out of there. Had to get a storage space for a week. You know, found the RV, drove it for 6 hours, and the motor blew.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember you because you were on Carol's Craft Cocktails
Yep.
and you were talking about that. And
So circumstances could suck. I
yeah.
get it.
Oh,
I
yeah. Oh, yeah.
I I am king of sucky circumstances some days, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah.
And we all are.
And you know
But
what? What else is possible?
and I
What
I
else
am
is possible?
I'm still living my true awesome life.
Yes, you are.
I'm still living it.
Hey,
I
babies!
Yeah, the puppies are all gone. Someone must have came to the door. But
Yeah.
folks, yeah. So the way to get that is to actually join my group. The
Yes.
freedom.
Okay. I can, so can you post in the? Are you able to comment? Go over here to comments, and or what I
I
think
can't.
what's
I
going to
gotta go
happen?
into.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, like on your end, it's either you have to post comments, not or whatever. How about this? When we get off the call,
I will post a link.
Go back to, there's 3 places which I'm live today, in my personal page, the DFL&Y group, and post links to your group in the chat, and invite David Saunders. Most importantly, we'd love to have him a part of your group. Again, David, it's not about changing you into a Bernie Sanders liberal. It's not about that. It's about you living your true, awesome, and amazing life right as you are, right where you are right now.
And mine is different than yours. Mine is always going to be different than yours. And it's
not. Gotcha. Yeah.
Okay. Because I don't want kids. Okay. Right now, I'm not. I actually met my soulmate, but he doesn't know it yet. So I will be in a relationship sooner or later after the new year.
When it's the right time.
When it's the right time. But you know, I don't want the white picket fence. I don't need the $1 million. Give me the $1 million. I can use it.
Oh, I want that. Yeah, because that enables a sense of freedom and peace of mind.
But it's not my driving factor.
Oh yeah, well I know, I get that. Yeah.
You know,
that's like the cherry. That's like the whipped cream. It's all part of.
Right. Then I get to build cooler things.
And your Jediism retreat, your Jediism center.
Place, when I get it the way I want it, it's going to be, you guys are, and there'll be more than one. So I invite you to read the book by Wallace D. Wattles, The Science of Getting Rich. And it's a book. It's like, you talk about personal growth. I think it's where, not Rich Dad, Poor Dad, but, what was it? It was an author who wrote, anyway, The Science of Getting Rich. It's about this thick. It'll take you 30 minutes, but it's more about the mindset that is about, like, you know, one cannot have the thriving life with a complete sense of peace of mind unless they have the financial means and abundance to do so. And we're oh, I don't need the $1 million. Well, maybe you do. Maybe if you want, this center that you're talking about. I mean, money is good. Money's not bad. Money's not evil. Money is good. There's a lot of good people who have an amazing overabundance amount of money, and they're doing good things. Money is energy, just like anything and everything else. And to think in terms of money, yes, financial abundance enables more freedom to do other things that you want to do and do for others, and exactly. So that but it's an amazing book, one of the best books I've ever read. Like I said, it takes you about 30 minutes. I will check that out.
But it's more about a mindset. It's not just about money, but it's about how to operate your life from that subconscious and conscious sense of being and doing the right thing by yourself and others. Because this has not, like, the trance of scarcity. I've got that book too. How most live in the trance of scarcity, and with all areas of life, scarcity of time, scarcity of resources, scarcity of, one of
the things I talk about all the time is, it's not a lack of time, it's a lack of commitment.
Like just for instance, is opportunity, chapter 3, is opportunity monopolized? No one is kept poor because other people have monopolized the wealth and have put a fence around it. You may be shut off from engaging in businesses in certain lines, but there are other channels open to you.
OnlyFans.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Well, Jeff, this has been a phenomenal, absolutely astounding, empowered conversation. So two of my favorite subjects to talk about have, and Elizabeth says, we don't want to change minds is about opening channels of communication to find common ground and community. Yes, Elizabeth, thank you. Exactly. And David, thank you for your comments. I mean, it was great of you to be on here and comment today. I appreciate that. And thank you, Christina, for being here. You are so fabulous as always. I've got a QHT quantum healing session with Christina tomorrow. I am through the roof excited about. So, but guys, yes, this has been a wonderful conversation. Please put links to your group in all 3 places under this live broadcast. And stay right here. I'm just going to say goodbye to everyone. Bye, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed Empowered Conversations. Whoop, whoop. Talk to y'all soon.